Before we go any further, I need you to breathe for a second, because what I'm about to say might hit you harder than you expect. Have you ever had that moment, late at night, staring at your phone, when something she said didn't sit right in your chest, but you couldn't explain why? A tiny shift in her tone, a hesitation, a smile that didn't match the words coming out of her mouth. If you felt that, don't look away, because those small things you brushed off, those were tests, silent tests, the kind most men never notice until it's too late. And if you stay with me until the end, I'm going to reveal the one test that every woman uses, consciously or not, that exposes her true character more clearly than any words she will ever say. Before we dive in, make sure you subscribe and hit that like button, because I promise you, you're about to hear truths most people will never tell you out loud. Now listen closely. I'm a psychologist, not your enemy, not here to make you paranoid, and definitely not here to turn you against women. What I am here to do is protect you from the pain you never deserved in the first place. Because some women, not all, but some, operate through silent evaluations. They don't always test to manipulate. Sometimes they test because of insecurity, trauma, or habit. But tests are real, and ignoring them is how men end up drained, confused, or betrayed without ever understanding what went wrong. The first silent test usually begins before you realize anything is happening. It's subtle. It's not a question, not a demand, not a confrontation. It's a moment, a tiny observation. She watches what you do when you think it doesn't matter. One of the clearest early signs of a woman's true character comes from how she responds to your boundaries when there's nothing in it for her. Not when she's happy, not when she wants you, not when she's trying to impress you, but in those small, quiet situations where respecting you would be easy, yet disrespecting you would be easier. And most men miss these moments because they're busy being understanding, polite, or accommodating. They think, it's not a big deal. She didn't mean it. Maybe I'm overthinking. But you're not overthinking. You're suppressing your instincts designed to protect you. Let me give you an example. You set a very small boundary. Maybe you tell her, hey, I'm heading to bed early tonight. Talk tomorrow. Nothing dramatic. If she accepts it with maturity, even if she's disappointed, that's a woman with emotional control. If she reacts with guilt-tripping, passive-aggressive comments, or tries to pull you back into conversation just to prove she can, that's a silent test. Not just to see whether you'll break your boundary, but to see if she can break it. Because some women don't want control, but they want to know if they could control you if they wanted to. And trust me, this one detail reveals more about her character than any romantic gesture, apology, or sweet message ever will. What you need to understand is this: a woman's reaction to your smallest, softest no is rarely about the moment itself. It is about her relationship with power, with respect, with restraint, and with you. And if a simple boundary triggers a storm, run. Not because she's evil, no, but because she's not ready for the kind of man who respects himself. There's a moment every man faces in a relationship, and it's so quiet, so deceptively harmless, that most of you walk right past it without realizing the truth hiding underneath. It happens when she asks for something small, something that seems innocent. Maybe she wants a favor. Maybe she wants your time when you're busy. Maybe she wants you to adjust a plan last minute. Nothing major. So you think, sure, why not? It's no big deal. But here's what you don't see. She's not just watching what you give. She's watching how easily you give it. Because the second silent test women use to reveal their true character is watching how you react when she applies pressure in a way that doesn't look like pressure at all. And this is the part most men don't understand. A good woman, a woman with emotional maturity, will appreciate your effort. She'll recognize that you're helping her, and she won't take advantage of it. But a woman with darker patterns, maybe because of insecurity, maybe because she learned manipulation works, maybe because she's used to bending men without resistance, will notice something different. She'll notice how quickly you fold. She'll measure how far she can push. She'll test to see if your desire for her is stronger than your sense of self. Not because she hates you, but because your reaction tells her exactly where your backbone is, or if you even have one. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. Many men give too much too soon because they think generosity equals love. But for the wrong woman, generosity just looks like permission. Permission to keep asking. Permission to keep taking. Permission to test how far your limits stretch before you snap. And you need to understand something. No woman respects a man whose identity melts every time she warms up to him. She may like you, she may enjoy your attention, but she won't trust your strength because you haven't shown her any. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you're heading out to work. You're already late. She knows you're late. But she says, "Can you quickly help me with this?" Now, a mature woman will say that once, maybe apologize for the timing, and understand if you can't. But a woman running subtle psychological patterns won't stop at the request. She'll layer it. She'll soften her voice. She'll move closer. She'll use emotion, not logic, to pull you in. And it works because she wants to see one thing. Will he abandon his priorities for me? If you do, she learns you're easy to shift. If you don't, she learns you're solid. Because here's a secret many men never hear. A woman may be attracted to your face, your body, your presence, but she falls in love with your backbone. That doesn't mean you should be cold or selfish. It means you should be intentional. Give because you choose to, not because you're afraid of losing her. Because if she's the type who only values you when you bend, she never valued you in the first place. And the men who see this test early, those are the men who save themselves from months or years of imbalance, resentment, and emotional drain. There's a moment in every connection where the mask slips, just a little. Not because she wants it to, and not because she's trying to deceive you, but because pressure has a way of revealing what charm can hide. And the third silent test that exposes a woman's true character shows up in those exact moments, when life stops being convenient. See, anyone can be sweet when everything is going their way. Anyone can be calm when they're comfortable. Anyone can treat you well when the emotions are light, the energy is high, and the relationship feels new and exciting. But the real test, the one that cuts straight through the surface, appears when she's stressed, disappointed, or not getting what she expected. That's when a man finally sees her emotional baseline. Here's what I mean. Imagine she had a bad day. Something went wrong at work. Someone upset her, or she's just overwhelmed by life. Now watch closely, not to judge her, not to criticize her, but to understand who you're dealing with. Does she communicate? Does she take a breath and talk to you like a partner? Does she show awareness of her emotions, even if they're messy, even if she's hurting? Or does she shift into a darker pattern? Sharpness in her tone, withholding affection, sudden irritation that feels like it came out of nowhere, or worse, she unloads on you because you're the safest person to absorb her frustration. Some women, without meaning to, use emotional intensity as a weapon rather than a signal. Not because they're bad people, but because no one ever taught them how to regulate, how to communicate, how to slow down long enough to be fair. But for you, as a man trying to build something real, the distinction is everything. Here's the silent test most men ignore. How does she treat you when she's not at her best? A woman with character won't be perfect. That's not what you're looking for, but she will show effort. She might be upset, but she'll still try to be respectful. She might be overwhelmed, but she'll apologize if she snaps. She might be emotional, but she won't turn you into her emotional punching bag. On the other hand, and this is where the danger lies, a woman who consistently responds to stress with blame, hostility, or manipulation is showing you how she handles conflict and how she will treat you long-term. If she weaponizes silence, dismisses your feelings, or punishes you emotionally when life gets hard, that's not moodiness. That's a behavioral pattern, a pattern that won't magically disappear with time, loyalty, or love. And here's the part men rarely hear. You are not responsible for fixing emotional habits she refuses to control. You can support her, yes. You can listen, yes. You can encourage her, absolutely. But you cannot become the emotional shield she hits every time she's hurting. Because the way a woman handles her low moments is one of the purest reflections of her character. Not the makeup, not the smile, not the affection, but the discipline behind her emotions. And if you pay attention to these moments early, you won't just protect your heart. You'll save years of your life from being drained by emotional volatility disguised as passion. There's a specific moment in every growing connection that men feel but can rarely articulate. It's subtle at first, like a shift in the air. You ask yourself, did something just change? Or am I imagining it? You're not imagining it. You're witnessing the fourth silent test, a test that exposes whether a woman sees you as a partner or as a placeholder. And it shows up through how she handles your wins, your goals, and your personal growth. Most men pay attention to how supportive a woman is when they're struggling, but very few pay attention to how she behaves when you're rising. Listen closely, because this one is a truth most people are too afraid to say out loud. A woman's reaction to your success is often more revealing than her reaction to your vulnerability. Let's break this down. You tell her you're working on a new skill, or you're leveling up financially, or you're making changes for your health, your discipline, or your future. Now watch, not with suspicion, but with emotional awareness. Does she lean in with genuine interest? Does she ask questions, encourage you, or celebrate small steps with you? Does she respect the time you dedicate to improving yourself, even if it slightly reduces the time you give her? If she does, you're dealing with a woman who understands partnership, vision, and long-term alignment. She's not intimidated by your growth because she has her own internal stability. She doesn't see your progress as a threat, but as a sign that she chose a man with direction. But what about the other reaction? The reaction men ignore because they're afraid of conflict or afraid of the truth. When you grow, does she get distant? Does she become passive-aggressive? Does she downplay your progress or joke about it in ways that feel more sharp than playful? Does she suddenly need more attention the moment you focus on self-improvement? Does she criticize the time you invest in bettering yourself, even though those improvements ultimately benefit the relationship? Some women, again, not out of evil, but out of insecurity, fear a man who's rising, because a man improving himself becomes harder to control with emotion, harder to guilt, harder to destabilize. Your discipline makes her patterns ineffective. Your growth removes her leverage. Your confidence makes her old tests fail. And that terrifies the wrong kind of woman. A woman with a fragile ego often prefers a man who stays predictable, stagnant, or dependent, not because she wants you small, but because she fears being left behind. And instead of rising with you, she might subconsciously try to keep you exactly where you were when she first met you, comfortable, unchallenged, and easier to influence. Here's the truth you need to hold on to. The right woman sees your ambition as part of your masculinity, not a threat to her importance. She doesn't compete with you. She doesn't see your growth as betrayal. She doesn't act like your dreams take something away from her. She rises with you. And if you pay attention to a woman's reaction when you improve your life, you'll know exactly who she is long before the relationship becomes serious. There's a point in every connection where the energy shifts, not because something dramatic happened, but because something revealing happened. A moment where you finally see whether she's with you or just benefiting from you. And that fifth silent test, the one almost every man overlooks, shows up in how she behaves when you're no longer giving her what she wants automatically. Not because you're withholding, not because you're playing games, but because life requires you to focus on something else for a moment. Maybe you're tired, maybe work is demanding, maybe you need a night to yourself, or time with your family, or space to think. This is where her true nature rises to the surface. A mature woman, emotionally stable, grounded, confident, will understand. She may ask questions, she may seek clarity, but she won't guilt you, she won't punish you, she won't make your temporary lack of availability feel like betrayal. But a woman driven by darker psychology, she will feel threatened, not threatened by your absence, threatened by the shift in your attention, because attention is the currency she values most. So pay attention to the small reactions. If you say, "Hey, I'm busy tonight," does she respond with, "Okay, take your time," or, "Oh, wow, I guess something else is more important than me"? These small moments reveal everything. Here's what you have to understand. Some women don't test your loyalty directly. They test how quickly they can recenter your world around them, and they'll use subtle emotional strategies to do it. Maybe she gets distant, hoping you'll chase. Maybe she acts irritated, hoping you'll feel guilty. Maybe she floods you with affection, hoping you'll feel obligated. These aren't accidents. These are behavioral patterns. You can always identify a woman's emotional responsibility by how she navigates disappointment. A responsible woman communicates. She says she misses you. She asks when you'll be free. She respects your life outside of her. But a woman who only feels secure when she's the center of your attention, she won't communicate. She'll react. She'll punish. She'll use emotional shifts as a way to maintain control without ever saying it outright. And here's the part most men don't want to admit. Many of you think this behavior means she cares deeply. You mistake emotional intensity for emotional investment. But intensity isn't love. Intensity is need. Intensity is fear. Intensity is insecurity. A woman who genuinely cares for you doesn't need to pull you back because she trusts that you aren't going anywhere. And this is where the test becomes powerful. If you remain calm, centered, and consistent when she tries to destabilize you emotionally, it reveals something critical about her character. Does she realize what she's doing and self-correct? Or does she escalate? Women with emotional maturity self-correct. Women who operate through subconscious manipulation escalate. And once you see this, you can never unsee it. Because the woman who respects your independence also respects your identity. But the woman who collapses every time she isn't your priority will eventually demand more than you can give and resent you when you can't. There's one final silent test. And if you understand this one, you will never again be confused about a woman's intentions, her loyalty, or her long-term alignment. It's the test that separates emotional maturity from emotional performance. It's the moment where every mask falls, every filter fades, and you finally see the truth with absolute clarity. It's how she treats you when she thinks she no longer needs you, not when she wants you, not when she's afraid of losing you, not when you're giving, providing, showing up, or putting in effort. But the moment she feels secure enough, comfortable enough to stop performing, that is where her true character finally speaks. Most women at the start operate on their best behavior, not out of manipulation most of the time, but because early connection naturally brings out the polished version of ourselves. She laughs more easily. She's patient. She's affectionate. She's understanding. She listens. Not because it's fake, but because everything is new and exciting. But over time, comfort replaces effort. And this is where you watch, not with fear, but with awareness. Does she stay consistent? Does she maintain respect? Does she keep showing appreciation? Does she still talk to you as if you matter, not because she's trying to win you, but because she values you? Or does she shift? Does she pull back kindness because she thinks she already has you? Does she grow entitled, expecting effort without offering any in return? Does she start treating you like a background character in her life instead of the person she once admired? Does she begin prioritizing attention from others, validation online or external admiration, because she assumes you will always be there no matter what? Here's the truth that stings, but liberates you at the same time. A woman's consistency after comfort is the purest evidence of her character, because some women love the idea of being in love. They love romance, compliments, emotional highs, the feeling of being desired. But when the initial excitement fades, they stop giving. They switch from partnership to expectation, from gratitude to entitlement, from emotional connection to emotional laziness. And men, especially good men, often blame themselves when they feel this shift. You start thinking, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I need to try harder. Maybe she's distant because I changed. No, you're just seeing who she is without the early stage motivation. But here's the beautiful part, the part most men never recognize. A woman with genuine character stays good even when she's comfortable. She doesn't weaponize familiarity. She doesn't become careless with your emotions. She doesn't replace effort with assumption. She doesn't treat your consistency as her permission to stop trying. Real character doesn't vanish after closeness. It deepens. That's the final, most powerful silent test. How does she treat you when she feels secure enough to stop pretending? Because the wrong woman gets comfortable and stops giving. The right woman gets comfortable and gives even more deeply. The wrong woman relaxes into entitlement. The right woman relaxes into partnership. The wrong woman assumes you won't leave. The right woman values you because she wants you, not because she needs you. So here's your truth to walk away with. A woman's true character isn't revealed by how she starts with you, but by how she stays with you. And if you're a man who values his peace, his emotional stability, and his future, you must learn to watch her consistency, not her charm. If this video helped you see relationships more clearly, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and share this with another man who needs these truths. Your awareness is your protection, your clarity is your power, and the right woman will never fear either of those.